Um, yeah, the moment you said, like, when it's a male architect, they will look at it differently. And when it's a female architect, like so many of our clients are females, young female practitioners, and their stories baffle me, like literally, like one of our client has come up to me and told me, Ki Parnavi, on the site, the client will talk to my contractor, not me, because he's the male and they feel that he takes the decisions, but I'm the one who is sort of directing everybody else. So she's like, look, women are emotionally smart like that. If that's what the client wants and if that's going to get my job done faster, I'm okay with it. So she's like, I have learned to move around it with rather than sit there and wallow saying ki, look, no, you talk to me, I'm the boss. She's like, it's stupid to do that because honestly it's going to take a huge amount of time for our society to understand this. In meanwhile, we are losing out on something. Like we're losing out on time, we are losing out on project opportunities. She's like, slowly we'll get there. But then, we've been talking about emotional intelligence that women get to the profession. Like, you learn to work around moods and feelings of people, which is very essential in specifically practice. Like, aaj client ka mood kaise hai? So how do you go about what happens on site? If there's a big blunder that has happened on the site, she'll be like, then slowly all the people will come to me, ma'am, aaj client ko gussa hai, aap thoda handle karo na. So this is what it is, that is what happens. I mean, these are very everyday experiences that our clients share with us. So that gender bias is there, but I think some people, some women have very smartly learned to use it for their own advantage. And I'm very proud of them. They were like, yes, that's the way to go about it. That doesn't mean that we don't talk about it. But yeah, we don't have to every time fight a war at that second. Like, yes, we'll do it slowly. But it's
Mm.
great that women are figuring out their way around it. And yeah, I mean, that's and other side, like I have to, sorry, I mean, it might go a little off topic, but I need to talk about how even male architects are sort of approaching. So recently, one of my students, who his thesis spoke about gender parity. So he did a thesis on kurmaghars kurmaghars are period huts in Gadchiroli district. So it was a male student working on a topic which is inherently taboo, plus which involves a lot about women and agency of women and how society treats this very, very taboo topic of periods and postpartum recovery and all of that. And after working for a year with him, and he won the Council of Architecture National Award for his thesis and also the Christopher Benninger Award for in the social category for his project. So, you know, um, our initial talks were very awkward. Like I told him, and then one point I had to sit him down and I told him, look, you the topic that you're working on, and do you know everything about it? See, I told him, if you don't understand everything about it, you're not going to be able to design for it. So you can only work on this when you get comfortable and try and understand what this means. What do periods mean for women through their life? What does postpartum mean? I know we are going a little off topic, but I am coming back to architecture. I'm talking about how males are also standing up.
This was
So it
done
was,
by a guy.
yes, a
So
male architect.
I can totally relate to this because my
Yeah,
thesis was rehabilitation center for rape victims,
yeah.
and yeah, and I know that how I was treated when I used to connect with NGOs and all, and they did not even entertain me over calls. So I had to basically use the help of some of my female juniors to take permissions, and then with them I went there and took the infos and I talked to the directors there. So basically, I went to this NGO in Delhi. Her name was Roma Debabrata. So she was basic. She used to rescue the sex workers, and I remember she had 11 daughters. So three were her own, and others she adopted from these rescue survivors, and she was very clear that she hate men. Okay. And she was very clear. Okay, so even she said that because you have you're a student and you have come up with your friend and this is for us, that is why we have allowed you inside in our campus, or else we just hate. completely hate, man.
Similarly, like my student also had similar experiences. He had to work with the NGO there who has been working on this social issue for a very long time. But for him also, like, I used to tell him, you should go and talk to a senior female faculty. If she accepts your topic and your defense, then you are in the right direction. If she immediately shuts you off, then your defense or your line of explain or strategy of explaining what you're doing is wrong. So this is how we used to test, if his line of thesis, defense is right or no. And slowly, he obviously became comfortable because I told him, "Ki, look, if you don't understand this to the core, forget about doing this thesis." And I think I'm so glad and proud of that boy that he stuck with it. Like, there were so many times that he didn't know where to hide his face,
Oh,
but then eventually even the female colleagues or classmates of his sort of understood that, they encouraged him, like, good, you're talking about this, and it's not a female who is talking about these issues. And then there were larger conversations that opened up, and hence I want to talk about this, that I mean the other side of the the binary is also standing up. So I think that's great. Like, whoever does, then they should be supported if they are doing so. So yeah.
it actually, the experiences actually change you as a person. When I'm talking about a guy who's doing it, so I remember that I circulated a form within a lot of my seniors, juniors, faculties, and everything, and it just had two questions. Like, firstly, the form did not allow you to fill your name, okay, but it had just two questions. One was if you had some experiences, then you can either describe it or you can just fill it yes or no. And the second question was that what did you do to cope up with that? So I think I received about 100 forms, filled forms, and girls were bold enough, because as it was a nameless form, so girls were bold enough to write their experiences. And when I read them, so I do not know that who faced those experiences, but those experiences actually, it literally changed everything. Matlab, it was a very eye-opening experience that what they face on a daily basis. So yeah, it changed a lot of in me and my perspective toward things.
Uh, I I want to like tie something together with what both of you said. Panelli, this is not out of for sure. Like, don't worry about that. You know, this idea that even when we talk about gender parity, it's not M versus F or anything. It's about how you come together, understand each other's strengths, and support in that. In my early because you mentioned about one female architect who struggled on site. I remember one of my first experience as a project architect was I had all the drawings. I am handling literally the site, and I had just taken the male intern along with me to get help with measurements and take photos. And I mean, men and women like of course look different. He looked because he had specs on, and so he looked. I mean, his build was also more than me. So he looked as if to to an outsider, it looked like he is in he's the boss, like he's in charge. And even though I am like standing there and trying to say ke, like plumbing line please इधर से निकालिए ये बराबर नहीं है ये लीकेज होगा सर आपको क्या लगता है like it happened.
Yeah.
And 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 my even my boss then and the intern like they both stood up for me के ये handle कर रहे हैं आप इनसे पूछिए. And it had to be done in a very soft respectful manner, like there was no commotion around it or anything. So there are these small little instances wherein you hold your ground, you find your way to negotiate it, and it evolves for everyone around you. So even then, that site engineer, he had a daughter. So somewhere something clicks in all of us. It's a constant ongoing process, and it can only happen if like the dialogue is kept in a very like let's come together and solve this manner.
Mhm.
And it's okay if
Yeah.
you don't know something, asking questions like how Rajat came out with the form, nameless form, asking questions, taking initiative in a nice, like, courteous curious, respectable manner really brings that conversation together. So thank you both of you for sharing. Parnavi, I would like to move the prompt
Yeah, yeah, sure.
towards Rajat and Sagar. Whoever wants to go
I
Uh,
think I'll go. Okay,
yeah,
you can
please,
start.
please. No, Sagar, continue.
first.
Then I'll do.
So yeah, enlightening conversation from these both. I have nothing to share, but of course, I have also faced these problems and I've seen it. And whatever I could do, I've also helped people through that. But of course, learning from your experiences, both of you, I think have enlightened me a lot to work more on it. But coming back to your question, for me, I was always a social media freak. Always, like since start of Orkut, then Facebook, then Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, every time. For me, as I shared during my introduction from 2015, when the comedy era started on YouTube and on Facebook through AIB in India, TVF, and everything. I started watching it, I started consuming it a lot. I also wanted to become something like them, but there was not a term, something related to architecture or something. And that was in the mind that I am an architect, how I can do this stuff because nobody will accept me because I'm spending a lot. My father is spending a lot of money on my education. I think my calling is architecture. I think I should go there. I started doing it, but during my college, and this I understood right now in 22, and I'm just going in the flashback how I understood what my calling was. So during my college, I was the person always holding a camera, interviewing people who are coming out of an interview, a viva, and asking them how their Viva was. My hard drive is a 50 GB space where I am not in the photograph. So I have videos, I have photographs, I have interviews, I have memories of all the things we have gone to from study tours to random canteen visits or something. I have the 50 to 60 GB of data. So 50 to 60 GB nowadays, it's like nothing. But
Yeah.
50 to 60 GB back in 2013, 2012 is a lot of there's a different perspective back then. So I left my job and I had nothing to do. As I said, I started doing content for 1 year. I have no idea why I'm doing it. I had no background. I have no understanding of creating content. I have no idea of lights. I have no idea of mics. I created a video sitting inside a room for 6 hours. That was just an 18 minutes video and it went for 6 hours because I was recording. I thought that okay, my voice is not good, nothing is good. I didn't have a camera, wired headphone, the mic here, and I'm recording. And what I was teaching is Revit software's tutorial because I
Uh,
was a BIM architect. So there I started because I had that experience outside when I left the job. I had that experience, so I thought that let's make tutorial videos on YouTube, and those are still there on my YouTube channel. So I started with that 6 hours with the fan off in peak summer. I like pasine se pura bhar chuka tha man. Like for 6 hours, I am doing that. But just for that, because I love it so much, I didn't know the answer back then. I started it. I had no examples in our field who are doing it. How I could monetize my content, I did not know that. So I made my own fields into it. I created my own niche because if you go out there, media partnership as a content creator, nobody is doing it. Media partnership as a maybe a PR house or as an agency, everybody is doing it. But as a content creator, nobody is doing it. I created that niche for myself, which can be maybe a payment channel for me. I started working with brands. I did not know that how to do it. So I started doing it and started understanding it. I started doing podcasts with architects. So then I knew that, okay, this is the way maybe I can monetize my channel. But how I did not know it back till 2022, why I'm doing it. But when I was talking to a certain architect in a podcast, I asked him this question, sir, why are you doing it? What you are doing? He was a lighting designer. And back of the mind, when he was telling me the answer, I was not listening to that answer. I asked that question to myself, dude, why are you doing this? Why are you in this interview? And why are you asking this question to him? So that it took me back to my second year, my first year, my third year. I was the person holding the camera. This is the calling I have, and this is why I am doing it. So that day I got the answer. Okay, okay, this is the right thing I am doing. And yeah, since then I'm doing it. And I always say to everyone, because social media is a very fast field, you get money very quick. but it also can take you down very quick. So there are two things. There's a lot of hard work which is not seen because you are always in the back of camera. It is not seen, and एक built form नहीं बनता है उसका. Like a building can be seen, but a content is just there. So once you create it, it's gone. So nobody talks about it. Like what was the hard work behind it? So it takes a lot. So I always prefer. I do not want a fame in the way like overnight success. I don't want it because if I get an overnight success, I won't be learning the processes I have learned till now. I could not create different channels of earnings or different things I could learn from the mistakes I've done. Because if on the first or for the first 6 months, if I would get 100K account, I could not understand all these things. Like if a client is coming to me or a media partner or a exhibition house is coming to me, how I have to cater to them, how I have to create an invoice, I have to write an email. I am not sure because there was no examples out there. Even if I go on internet and search for something, everything is regarding lifestyle, food blogging and something, but there was nothing related to architecture content creation. There was not a word even for it. So I started calling myself a design influencer. I still don't think that I'm an influencer. I call it as a design content creator, but going to like high ticket clients, you have to call that. So it happens. So yeah, that way I started doing it, and yes, that's it.
Takes a lot of courage again.
Yeah, because courage, because the only thing I think that way, there's no going back from here. This is what the skills you have. Even if it's a bad day, yes, I overthink a lot. We all are architects. We procrastinate a lot and we overthink a lot that what are we doing here? But the second day when I start, it's back to normal. Okay, it's fine. The day is gone. We have to start. Even if the client is gone, we lose deals. Of course, we lose deals. We lose all clients. But the second day when it starts like it's a new day. You have to forget things what has happened, and you have to back yourself that this is the only good thing you do right now. You are doing well. You have reached here because many people are crying. People are asking me, should I buy followers? What I did is grew my account organically. So I know the struggle behind that. So yes, courage is of course there's lots of confidence and lots of backing yourself. Even if it's a bad day, it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel low. It's okay to question yourself why you're doing it. But I think second day, if you're starting, you should start fresh and forget the night and do something great again.
I can relate to a lot of things with you, Sagar. Actually, जो आपने the thing you said ना about the back end thing, जैसे back end पे पता नहीं चलता how much hard work it goes because you are
Yeah.
behind the camera. I think it is the same in my field as well because visualization में see I have heard comments with a lot of architects कि वो एक होता है ना typical एक attitude है कि ये कितनी देर का काम है आपको दो लाइनें तो बनानी है या आपके दो कमांड्स ही तो लगाने हैं आई हैव हर्ड ऑल दीज थिंग्स इन द इंडस्ट्री मतलब कितना ही है जरा हो जाएगा आधे घंटे का ही तो चेंज है बट नो वन सी a person who does not understand the software and what goes in the software would say such comments. So I have dealt with architects, senior architects or fresher architects who does not have the knowledge of the software. Okay. And then मतलब I have seen कि वही लोग हैं जो जिनको इसके बारे में नहीं पता they come up with such comments and मतलब it hurts a lot at times because मतलब we know how much hard work it goes on the back end.
Yes.
ठीक है
Yes.
मतलब my machines are running 2 days, 3 days, 4 days for walkthroughs and renders. One render taking 3-4 hours. So I know how much time it
Yeah.
goes, but the other person, the architect, the designer, does not understand it. And
Yeah.
coming to the fact when I started, see, honestly, I did not have any idol as such. Obviously there were a lot of pages, there were a lot of websites at that time. Instagram just came in, so there was not so much of Instagram. Facebook was something which was at its peak and you could see websites. So yeah, a lot of websites I could see international visualizers doing good work. But yeah, if I talk about myself, so I my plan was a very different. So uh, when I left my job, I think my salary, the last salary at which I left was something around 25,000 a month. Okay, at that time. So एक ना there was this thing कि see जैसे आप your parents see you in a way that मतलब okay, he's earning, okay, तो उनके दिमाग में टिल द टाइम योर अर्निंग ठीक है, आ रहे हैं, मतलब वो काम कर रहा है, चाहे वो काम ना कर रहा हो, बट ओके दे आर सीइंग द कैश फ्लो, कैश कमिंग इन, तो ओके दैट इज फाइन, दे फॉर देम इट्स ओके। बट अब मेरा ये था दैट obviously now I'm graduated, I'm working, so there is some amount of money that you have to, मतलब as a child you give to your parents as well, okay, for the home expenses and everything. So अब मेरे को ऐसा था, like see, firstly my father was against architecture, okay, मैंने बड़ी मुश्किल से आर्किटेक्चर के लिए उन्हें कन्विंस करा था, ठीक है, एंड देन आर्किटेक्चर करने के बाद व्हेन आई केम इनटू विजुअलाइजेशन दैट वाज अनदर शॉक टू हिम, ठीक है। मेरे को लगता है मैं आज भी उन्हें एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाता हूँ कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है, आई थिंक आई कैन नॉट, मतलब मैं उनको क्या, मैं अपने इन लॉज को भी एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पाता हूँ, ठीक है, कि व्हाट आई एक्चुअली डू। सो बिकॉज वो उस चीज को एक ऐसे ही देखते हैं कि आर्किटेक्ट है, तो मैं उनको ना आर्किटेक्ट नहीं हूँ, मैं बिल्डिंग्स नहीं बनाता हूँ। सो एनीवे, सो कमिंग बैक टू द पॉइंट, सो मेरे दिमाग में ना ये था कि अब जैसे आई यूज टू गिव माय, मतलब मैं अपनी मॉम को मनी ट्रांसफर करता था एज सून एज अ सैलरी कम्स इन, तो मेरे दिमाग में ये था कि अब जैसे मैं छोड़ रहा हूँ, ठीक है, बट आई डू नॉट वांट टू शो माय पेरेंट्स कि यार क्योंकि एक महीने अगर उन्होंने मुझे ऐसे देख लिया कि ही सिटिंग आइडल, कुछ नहीं कर रहा है, कुछ आ नहीं रहा है, या मतलब इज नॉट हेल्पिंग अस विद द हाउस होल्ड थिंग्स, तो वो ना हो जाएगा कि यार टाइम अपना लाइफ खराब कर रहा है। सो व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड आरएवी, तो माय थिंग वाज कि मैंने ना अपने नेक्स्ट मंथ 3 मंथ्स की सेविंग्स ना सेव ऐसे प्लान करके रखी थी कि घर पे देता रहूंगा, कुछ चाहे कुछ ना हो, पर घर पे ये फील नहीं होना चाहिए कि नहीं है कुछ, ठीक है, कि आ रहा है, काम आ रहा है, जबकि कुछ नहीं था। बट आई टुक दिस एज अ चैलेंज टू मी कि आई हैव 3 मंथ्स इन हैंड एंड 3 मंथ्स इज 90 days, and each day counts. So each day I send cold mails to a lot of firms. I approach through Facebook, I approach through websites. So as much, and I took the advantage of those 90 days, and I think that 90 एक मतलब वो टाइम है जब वो 3 महीने I took it as a challenge, and now is 2025. That's what I've never looked back, and I don't wish to look back anymore.
I would just like to add two things यहाँ पे. First thing, I think you said about clients do not understand and they ask like ये 5 मिनट का काम है ये. This happens with me for the content creation as well.
Hmm.
Because it's just like you create a video for certain brand or for yourself, it's like a 5 to 10 minutes job, but which I've told like कि 6 घंटे लग गए for just an 18 minutes video. Again, what I have learned through this is what I tell them कि a, a 150 words which is needed for a script on reels is practiced by me. I can finish any topic in 150 words. That would take me to speak 50 seconds. I cannot create more than 50 seconds where I don't want to create because the what we say that the attention span is less on Instagram now. So I have to just create a 50 seconds video out of it. So now I can create any topic on that. I can create a 150 words because I know what the pace of my voice is and how many words I can speak in those 50 seconds. So this is a study of me for 4 years I've spent, and now we'll be completing 5 years in this March. This is what I've studied. That this is going to take that. I know how I can engage audience through the visual hooks I create. I know how I can engage with audience through the editing skills I have. So it is not just sitting in front of camera and just doing it. I have to do the back end work of that as well to understand the audience I have. Because if I don't create a compelling and engaging content, my audience is not going to give me views. So when we go to a brand and we talk to them that this is what we have to do, and we are not selling your plywood. We are not going to say that कि ये plywood सबसे best plywood है पूरी दुनिया में. We are not going to say that. Let us tell the story behind it and how we can engage a brand to so that the audience will understand so they can take an informed decision. But many of them fail. Many of them have started understanding it, but it's just that you have to explain, and it's not bad to explain someone if a certain person has a right to ask that question. And I think we have to explain them. But yes, going back to what you said, I related it to a lot, and hence I added it.
I think summing it up, all three of us don't really have ideals or mentors. I think that is what we're trying to say. We all, I think all three of us in a way have whatever we've done, good, bad, full of failures or whatever, it's on our own. And
Yes.
since there were no precedents to look up to or to learn from, I think that is what makes it so enriching and solid, wherever we are, in whatever positions, whatever roles. I think that is what makes it worth understanding. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
inspiring. I don't know if I'll ever inspire anybody, but yeah, I mean, conversation, like it's worth having a conversation about, because
Yes.
we have come to where we have on our own, girte padte jaise bhi, and I think that is what I want to tell others, ki it's okay if you don't have an idol, and ideally you should not have, like, don't idealize something or someone that you forget to look inwards as to what you have. That is something that I have realized slowly ki in the process of idealizing about what I should be as an architect or a person, I forgot what I actually am. And
Right.
that
Right.
that
Right.
that took a few years from what I could have achieved, like, say, 5 years earlier. So I tell that to a lot of young people, or even like my colleagues who are doubting that new step that they want to take. I'm like, please do it. You have it in you. Don't doubt for yourself, like,
Yeah.
even for a bit. Of course there are doubts, of course you're scared. I'm scared today for this interview. Ideally everybody thinks that I'm good at public speaking because I teach 70 kids every single day. Like, I deliver 3-hour lectures, I talk about 100 topics. But I'm still like, inherently I'm a introvert. I'm a very shy person, and nobody believes that because I'm a teacher. But like, I've built on it. I've learned, like, in the wrong way possible, but I have learned to see myself in a way that probably nobody else can, or some people have highlighted, this is good
Hmm.
about you, why don't you focus on it. So I don't think any of us have like a true mentor. It's us. I think it's very, what you call it, pompous of me to say that I'm my own ideal, but that
I
is what it is, I
I think
think.
one thing which is common between all of us is that it's not just about the skills we have, it's the journey that counted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That basic, as Sagar said, that it's not something that we gained overnight. It took us a lot of time to understand, to experience, and to reach, and to, at the end, make us who we are right now. So it was a journey rather than just the skills.
Yeah, even like as Parnavi said, I'm like during the procrastination process, I talked with myself. I spent a lot of time with myself to understand what I am good at, who am I as a person, what is my nature. So COVID actually helped me a lot to understand who I am, what decisions I make when I get panicked, and where I like thrive the most, which situations I can work better or what can I not handle better. Now I know how I can operate as a machine, if I say.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, and it, as when I talk about motherhood also to somebody, I try and keep it very raw. यहाँ पे भी I'll keep it very raw. All this happens with a lot of crying, a lot of stress, a
Yes.
lot of sleepless
Some
nights.
anxiety.
But it's
Yes.
it's it's not it's not very like movie में दिखाते हैं ऐसा किया, I did this, and today look where I am.
फिर कोई गाना बज गया
Please,
इंस्पायरिंग पीछे
yeah,
से.
it is not at those days, those moments are not at all like that. Like, you are like in the worst, the darkest phase. Sometimes, like, you feel like you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you're such a failure, and all of those
Right.
thoughts. That's also the side of it that we should talk about it. And for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
it was coupled with motherhood and postpartum, which is like another roller coaster of a journey, and also COVID. So, open bracket, when it stopped, this was that phase for me. When I mean, yeah, I don't want to talk about it, but there was also postpartum depression. There was also other things that were there. So it's no sugarcoating here. This is what it is, the real deal. Mixed with like a lot of very dark days. Like, you have to literally pull yourself out. That doesn't happen overnight as well. Like, you need all support you get, like your family, your friends, whatever it takes. And I think for all of us, at every point that has happened, खुद से सब कुछ नहीं किया है. Obviously there has been a strong support somewhere in family, or in, like,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
your partner, your husband, wife, friends, जो भी है. So yeah, I think that also has to be spoken कि
Yeah.
it's never glamorous. जैसे हम सक्सेस के बारे में बात करते हैं ना, सक्सेस इज रेयरली ग्लैमरस. there's nothing there's nothing glamorous about it.
I
It's
think
very
success.
crude, very hurt. Like you hurt.
Once you reach there, you feel nothing like some days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think success looks glamorous for the others who see us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Also, till the time
I
you
still
reach
don't
there,
feel I've
from
reached
from the
success,
step
but
1 to step
whatever.
100, you feel nice, okay, कि यहाँ जाना है, but
ah,
एक बार
Yeah.
वहां पहुंच गए, हमको और ऊपर जाना है.
for
Like,
Yeah.
us, I think for us success is ugly. मतलब it's very hard. I think जो जिसको दिख रहा है, for them it's very glamorous. It's something, oh, मतलब it's very easy. But for us, it's very ugly. And I think it's for anyone, it's very ugly.
Yeah, I think yeah, when some of my friends come up to me and tell us ki, wow, you guys started then. It's so cool. Like it's such a new, like it's a new concept. You have a lot of like, we are proud of you. You have so much like courage to start something on your own. And I have to tell them there is not a single day when we are not worried whether we'll be able to pay our employees for the next month. That's the reality of it.
Right?
I mean, I have not reached that point where I can say, ki, "Bahas, I have 30 people working for me
अब
and I
शांति
know
शांति.
I have taken care of it." No, that's not how it is. Every new client we seek that doesn't come on board, I am worried. Mera calculation immediately chalu hota hai ki how do we
Yes, yes, yes.
sustain? And that's exactly where I very strongly and unabashedly say कि boss monetary working or like the business aspect of anything is equally important because that is what causes a lot of stress. The creative bit of it, the creative satisfaction is always there, but that's not the only thing. This
Yes,
is
yes.
also very important that we architects are terrible at running a business, no matter what it is, no matter in what format you're doing it. It's a business, please. Like, let's not shy away from saying it. And I've said this in one of the earlier
Yeah,
podcasts.
yeah.
We've said that it is high time that architects stop shying away from saying that architecture is a business. Please. Because not saying it has caused us so many problems and
Exactly.
Yeah,
years of trauma for everybody involved.
yeah. For me, I've
So,
kept
yeah,
targets of amount. इतना पैसा in a month I
yeah.
should get until उसके बिना कुछ नहीं होने वाला. So till the time I reach that target, I have to work hard a lot. Whatever I can do.
So,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I was like,
We are going
it.
off topic a lot, but
This is
okay,
No,
kind
like
of
we are not
it's
sticking
actually
to our
not. It's
prompts.
actually not because it is time together. See, I know like when Rajesh publishes this through the ArchitectureLive platform, you know, design magazines will cover projects, right? Like academic research papers have its own way of dealing with things. But these conversations of how you are an architect of like your own life first, like forget
uh,
being an architect. I put that as a post on my personal this and so many people related to it. And to be honest, like it was inspired by some I had broken down a lot in Germany, homesickness and all of that. And it was a very interesting analogy that a friend shared that like how you design building it's a structure, right? Like foundation, column, walls, etc., etc. Similarly, you be an architect of your own life also first, because even your life is a structure in a way, like your relationships, your career. There are many identities, there are many roles you play, there are different passions that you have, and it all comes together through the medium that you choose to create. Like for Rajat, it's visualization. For Sagar, it's content creation. For you, it's in the communications aspect. But this all like it ties together as a structural system, and it we can't always talk. Okay, I did this project. We can't talk always in isolation, and having these conversations will make it more real and relatable for a lot of young people who listen to it, because it really doesn't exist right now. As you three mentioned that you didn't have idols to look up to, right? I the gap the reason that this prompt also came to my mind was, you know, if when I was doing architectural education, I started my journey in 2013, graduated in 2018. We look at case studies and examples that like Charles Correa, BB Doshi, etc., etc. But do we even share any examples of architects beyond traditional practice to the young mind? It's that question like struck me as in like hit like a brick because I am in this phase personally where I want to know that, these are my interests, but then how do I take it forward? So that was the whole intent behind the prompt. It was actually meant to be more personal rather than like thug thug thug. So thank you so much for answering with a lot of authenticity. Um yeah. Uh, so it actually tied to the third prompt I had. Remember the document I shared with you, right?
Yeah.
The third prompt was the reality of forging your own path. So both of it like really
Yeah.
sort of weaved in together. Uh, so I think like I'll combine these two prompts when the edit happens. And the fourth prompt that I'll go towards is, and really like for the intent again behind this prompt being a, if there's some young person or even young, forget age, like even if someone is 50 and is trying to rediscover that, okay, like this is not fulfilled me and I want to relook at, like, so I'm really like trying to nudge personal insights over here. So what would you say uh, would be the skills that you develop in architecture school or in your practice explorations which helped in forging this unique path for yourself? Like you already have been giving examples of dealing with clients or like how Sagar mentioned, dealing with someone who wanted to market plywood. So it's all interconnected, and to be honest, like I'm struggling to like, let's say, categorize it as one, two, three. But yeah, like the idea being that if a young student is listening to this, or even if someone is 50 and listening to this, to spark that okay, like what are my skills beyond building, uh,
I think
drafting and building?
I'll go with
Yeah.
it. I think time management was the most essential skill I had during my which I learned during architecture. I'll just say it out loud here. I think I've written it out on my LinkedIn as well. I've made a video about it as well. I'm an architect who has not pulled an all-nighter at all and still managed to get a distinction in my thesis. And what I did was chilling 2 days before my final jury. I was just watching my favorite movies and went to the Viva, cracked it, and did well. Nobody believes me still because how an architect can do and pull an all-nighter without pulling an all-nighter, how can he do it? But that really helped me
I
during.
believe you
It's
because I believe you. I
Thank
believe
you,
you.
thank you.
Ekdam, I am somebody similar. Like not a single night out, night like
Yes.
night work,
So for me,
not
I
an
want to see that
chai or
7 hours in my alarm clock. मुझे इतना सोना ही है. That inspired me to do what it
I
happened because that inspired me to pull my times along ki of a class. Like if I come back to my home after my college, how I have to decide my time and how I have to work. Yeah, Rajat, you can add.
was just saying कि I have put all nighters in academics, but वो मैंने काम करने के लिए नहीं था, मैं काम जल्दी करता था so that I can watch series at nights.
Yes, yes, same here, same here, same here.
Was my
So
approach.
that really helped me. Time management was one thing, so that really helped me in my office also. Everybody was like looking at me like, "How are you going?" I was like, "I have completed my bunch of work which was given to me." But overtime is, in our industry is equal to more pay, they think, but it is not paid. So it helped me during my office, like when I worked with third party, and I also it helped me during my creation of content. So I know what time I have to sit creating my content, what time I have to write, what time I have to edit. Secondly, video editing is the skill I did understand that I had it back then, but as I shared that I used to create interviews, like take interviews of my classmates. So I used to create these small movies. So when I was in my first year, my final, like the fifth year, I created a whole movie of his classroom. How from third year to fifth year, their class evolved, their friendship evolved, the kind of relationship that had in their college. So he showed it all in his final year, like when we were giving him send off during their when they're going away. That inspired me, like, dude, he can do it. I have to also do it. So I started creating videos of my college mates and everything. I used to create like 10 minutes movies out of it. So video editing skills really helped me a lot. That also helped me to get communication skills, which is very, very important once for me for networking with brands when I go outside. So creating content is not only online, it is always offline. It is more offline than online because you don't do an offline work, you won't get online work there. So when I go to any exhibition, I hesitated a lot to talk with brands. Okay, I am a content creator. Please give me work, certain kind of work, so I can show your brand on my page, or go and talk with an exhibition brand to tell them that you can give me a media partnership and maybe I can help you to get a good footfall of architects and interior designers to your brand. So communication skills really helped me. That was one thing. Time management really helped me. Video editing skills really helped me. And I was always a jolly person during my college. So that kind of, and me personally also, I am. So that really helped me to create content in a different way. So I mean, like when I create serious content, I also put some humorous content through my stories or through some of my acting skills I have. So I was also an actor. I did theater in my college, and I failed miserably then in my academics in third year. दो subjects में back लग गए थे. But मुझे वो करना था. So I am a stubborn person. I want if I lay an hand on something, I want to do it. I back myself and then I do it. So these were the bunch of skills I learned.
Thank
For
you,
me,
Sagar.
I feel there's one culture that is drastically gone down, or मतलब I think अब तो मुझे पता नहीं, but हाँ, when I used to be guest faculty in two design colleges, तो वहाँ पे जो मुझे दिखा is that the culture of helping seniors in their thesis work or in their academics is dying. And for me, I think this was the biggest learning, because जितना I feel कि because this helped me, because मेरे साथ क्या था कि मैं जिन सीनियर्स का काम कराता था in their thesis time or in their मतलब any of the major submissions, in return they used to teach me a software. Okay, so my skills are all through my seniors. ठीक है, तो मैं मतलब आई वाज वेरी मतलब मैं इस चीज में आई वाज अ लिटिल स्मार्ट कि जिन सीनियर्स को मुझे पता होता था दैट ओके ही वर्क्स इन स्केचअप और he works in Revit or he works in some rent cool rent, तो मैं on purpose I used to approach him कि सर कोई हेल्प हो तो मुझे बुला लेना रात को या मैं कर दूंगा, because मेरे को रिटर्न में they used to teach me those software. So my that base development has happened in my hostel life, and I feel the learning you get in a hostel is much more greater than you get in a classroom. Okay, academy मतलब जो आप सीनियर्स के साथ बैठ के in their work you learn it. It was not just about software, it was about the designing as well. So that learning is very मतलब is greater than जो हम classroom में करते थे. But yeah, my base my learning of all softwares, my hands-on on softwares developed because of my seniors, all of my seniors. So I would like to thank them wherever they are. So because they helped me a lot, and even after a while when I was in my I think I was in fourth year, one of those seniors even gave me my first project as a freelancer. So he actually, one of my fifth year thesis, thesis person, he pitched some small project. He gave me a some little amount of money कि तू मेरे दो renders निकाल दे. But yeah, that was a push that I required, and I think that is a push. किसी को भी अगर मिल जाए तो it's very lucky.
Thank you, Rajat. Parnavi, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, I was on mute. For me, learnings from architecture majorly from I don't remember much from my undergraduate school in the sense like something that I carry forward, but I knew I was a very underconfident child. Though I was the top three in my class, Rajesh sir would know. He was actually my professor in school. So very underconfident. Um, and when I went to SEPT, when there were like the best of students from all over the country, and when I could stand up in between them, I'm not talking about performance in terms of grade, I could actually survive. that is when I realized that I'm not so bad. Look, I do have certain things in me. And that is where that whole self-discovery thing started, which is still helping me in my professions. That was the first learning. Second was understanding how SEP worked in terms of their pedagogy and curriculum. Like the fact that we would never only focus on architecture. There were so many allied fields or allied creative avenues that we were in fact compulsorily pushed to undertake. That is when I started teaching undergraduate students. I realized that there was like the focus on these allied skills should not be only limited till electives. Let's it has to be what you call it a little more, like you need to give it more time, like the focus on it, and also sort of tie it back to how this learning is actually helping your architecture, also your understanding of design, your understanding of processes in the sense. And then one fine day, it was very interesting when we were having one such workshop in college. My sister-in-law happened to see photographs and she's like, "What is this?" I told her this was a model making workshop. And she's like, "Why can't people like me do something like this?" And that is the germ for open bracket. I'm like, I need to open up these kind of creative workshops for people who would want to do it. And without even like giving it a second thought, I did one. Like I just passed the word on to my friends. I literally borrowed one of my friend's studio space. Like on Sunday, when they don't have like people coming and working, we literally moved chairs around and we did this workshop with 7 people. It was a cyanotype workshop, and it was the response was so tremendous that led on to one thing to second thing. Then I started calling it open bracket, and then I started having a lot of workshops. We did a lot of workshops with the Bhavdaji Art Museum because they saw our work. We did a lot of workshops with the Kalagoda festival. And then we started doing workshops with corporates because they have this whole learning team building through art or whatever, which is very superficial, to be honest, but whatever, like they saw merit in it. So that was the first jump that came from architecture only, that that is what I carried forward. And from open bracket, obviously, the learning about business, entrepreneurship, which was more from the failures than the successes of it, which is now carrying forward to Zen. Like, most of it, like we have tasks divided, or like responsibilities divided among me and Putri, my partner at Zen. So a lot of my responsibilities, also the business aspects of it. Like there is a lot back end that you have to do, like, paperwork, invoicing, permissions, writing emails, or like bank work, or making certain calls on whatever, maintaining records, employee statistics, number calculation, which I'm not very great at, but I've learned that if you don't plan for like another 6 months ahead, I mean, you can't just wallow in the happiness of creative success or the creative satisfaction that comes from it. Please, that's not very ideal to go. Before you know it, you will not have a client on board. And then what? Where that creative satisfaction that is fueling this thing, it won't happen because clients ही नहीं है. So it was like step A, step B. I've learned different things from college, from teaching, from my first platform, my first entrepreneur, whatever. And then I think the biggest uh, feeder of stuff has been me being a parent. Like I understand so much about teaching from being a mother, and vice versa. I understand so much about being a mother from teaching. Like, when it's very interesting now. I teach first year and I teach final year. So there are very two interesting stages. Like the kids that I see in first year come to me for thesis in final year. So I see their trajectory. I see how they've grown up or molded or evolved into these individuals. So when they come to us in first year, we call them babies only. And that is what teaches me how to deal with my child, like how I need to be okay with him making mistakes, the way I need to be okay or give that space to my students, and also understanding that there is no place for ego. I learned this from my bad experiences in architecture, where you couldn't say certain things to a senior professor even though they are wrong, because senior hai. And that ego used to come into place. How can you say this? Even today, like I'm that Muffat person who will say certain things in a meeting where everybody is literally 20 years. Again, it's not about age, but experience is equal to age, unfortunately, in our society, where I speak up from whatever, and I get eyes and like these looks and stares. What do you know? You keep quiet. Aap junior faculty ho, as per them. 12 years is still junior, by the way. That's what it is. But so I think this understanding of how sometimes my child is yelling for me behind the door. So that's so so I think my personal life, my college life, and my profession all now at this stage feed into each other. So I can't really differentiate what learning applies where, because it's all now intermingled. And I like how this is gelling together, because at one point of time I was very what do you call it, I don't know, scared to accept the fact that I'm a mother, and there is a child whining there, 3-year-old child whining outside the door who wants his mother. But now I openly let him in on meetings. Today I won't, because then this will be hijacked. Our conversation is out of the window. But I let him in on my meetings because people need to know I'm also a mother. Please understand. And it's okay. He also understands that after a point, you're supposed to keep quiet. Your mom is working. So all this, and slowly, I'm setting that stage where people need to allow this for parents. And it's not only for mothers, it's also for fathers, it's also in college. My students need to know that um, sometimes as a teacher, I don't know certain things. I have learned to say that to my students. Look, I don't know this. I can't answer this question. Let me come back to you. I will let my student tell me sometimes that I'm wrong. If he comes and like if she comes and tells me, ma'am, I don't agree with you, I don't think this is how it is. I'm like, oh, is it? Let me see. Like, why do you think so? This has taken me a lot of time. Initially, if I would be questioned by a student, I would immediately like, Are, I'm your teacher, how can you question me? Because that is what I probably, no offense, Rajesh sir, but some of our teachers did to us. You're not allowed to question, you're not allowed to ask, or you're not allowed to even have a conversation. And that is also what I do with my child. That's how everything ties up. Like if he asks me a very difficult question and I don't know how to answer, I have learned to sort of firefight at that stage and come back to him in a way he will understand. And this is where my skill of communications developed. I started making complex ideas palpable to like or palatable to first year students. Like how do you make them understand experiential architecture? Like this is something me and my team has been working for a very long time on in first year. Joe, like it's almost like we start from scratch. Like we have to break all that baggage that they come from, like schools and like colleges, where there is only one way of doing certain things, and architecture is exactly the opposite. So how do you make them understand? That is where your communication has to literally come down to that level. Okay, me and any other professor understands a lot about architecture, but वो first year के बच्चे को कैसे समझाए? That is where my communication skills very unknowingly started developing. Like I always write the briefs for all our studio projects, because my colleagues or my teammates think that I get it down to a level where a first year child will understand without the jargon, without the uncomplicated intellectual stuff, which most of still colleges do. Like they'll talk about architecture that it's some big intellectual bubble, which even I felt like when I went to CEF, half of my professors would talk about stuff that I would not understand. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is this big words? And actually they were trying to say a very simple thing. Inherently, it's a concept that is very simple. So I learned to make ideas simpler for people, especially my students first, and now for my clients. Like when they talk about this that, and I'm like, look, your client is not going to understand any of this. You want them to come on board or no? Yes, nobody's belittling your creativity. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it understandable relatable and approachable to the person in front, or the non-architects or the non-creative people. So I think these are like my larger learnings from me as a student, me as a teacher who has also evolved. Okay. And one thing that sort of, like I tell my students, like, never be afraid to switch lanes. Again, as I said, it's very easier said than done. Never be afraid to question or speak up or stand up for yourself, like, because in our schools even today, like I tell my child also, if you have a question, a genuine question, you have to learn to ask it in the right way without being impolite or rude, but ask. You have the right to question your teacher. The same way, this I learned when I realized that somewhere, that whole thing of me being the teacher, or me, ideally it's not like that, no teacher should ever call any shots, but that's how you picture a teacher, no, like a professor, ki baba inke samne muh kaise khole. But that's not how it should be. That is not when a teacher and student connect. When I let go of that barrier that I had built, that no, maintain a certain distance. Of course, there you have to have a certain differentiation between a teacher and student, but you have to also create space for a dialogue to happen. Like, you have to allow them to come to you, feel free, they should feel free to come to you with a certain concern or query. I think that is something that my child has taught me. Like, if I become this parent who will yell at him for every little thing, they're never going to tell me if they make a mistake. And this is something that my other parent friends have told me, like, who have grown up kids, and they're like, look, this is what we did, Tabi, you don't do this, otherwise then now our kids are teenagers and now they hide stuff from us, but we should have done this when they were toddlers. And this applies very much in teaching also. Like, you have to allow that space, or that one, like, you have to keep that door open. And this I've learned from my other colleagues who were the sort of popular teachers. And one fine day I just went up to her and I asked, why do these kids like you so much? What is it, like, to a point that it has started bothering me, because in the previous year she would teach them, then they would come to me and they would just hate me for whatever. They'd be like, because you are not like that teacher. I'm like, what? Why? Like, why is it so? So then that is what that this is something that she taught me. Ki I allow them to sort of like that comfort. I like them. I make them feel comfortable that they can come to me with their problems. Again, academic problems, not personal, obviously. Of course, I can't say I've reached there completely, because that's not who I am. Like, I like to maintain that certain boundary between teacher and students. But academic dialogue, yes, I have tried to change or be softer there. So yeah, these are some of my learnings from, you call it like personal life, professional life. I don't differentiate it anymore, because I don't really know what is where, because everything is feeding into each other like a cycle. So yeah.
Rajesh mentioned that he doesn't agree really that you were underconfident, and I think we all of us over here, like, we've learned so much from you, and yeah, we would never imagine for you to say that, hey, like, you were.
I remember one class Rajesh sir had with us, the most hilarious, like, I'm now first year. So can I tell them about that whole test that you had for design, writing test, and somebody caught?
Go ahead,
I'll
please.
never forget. So we had like two divisions, A and B, for the first year of like basic design class. And I think I was in division B, and Rajesh would take division A. And one fine day, they decided we'll take a written test for basic design. Okay. We were stupid. We didn't know that aisa kuch nahi hota hai. It was a joke, a big prank, as usual. Like, Rajesh is known to do like throw pranks at students.
Yes.
And then they asked us, there were questions like, what is a dot? What is a
That's
line? Whatever. And we all were like sweating left, right, center. Ki, how do you write about all of this? And the most hilarious answers came out of that test. Somebody literally, one student I remember, he had written as a dot. This is a dot. That was like the most crazy answer. Like, I'll never forget. This is in 2003. So I think some teachers like Rajesh did, establish like teaching or learning can be fun. And that immediately switched when we went ahead, where it was very like, ye requirements hai, ye karo. That is where I also understood that that fun, you have to keep it fun for whoever is trying to learn from you. Of course, the level of it changes because too much comes to you as you go ahead in academics or whatever. But I think that, yeah, that is one lesson that I learned from Rajat, that take it with a pinch of salt. Like fun and like jokes have to be part of it. So yeah, I hope you remember
Of
the
course, I
test
do. And
written.
I
That you
would like
look
to
for
add
basic.
that I have graduated from pranking students to now pranking faculty members now.
Okay.
I continue doing this pranking. I'm not giving up on that now.
We can see your
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
I am joining you for that conversation you had recently, you posted.
I was always someone who was good with research, academic and all, like, and I've written research papers and all of that, but it would always make me feel very, very heavy and very helpless, especially urban research side of things, to the point wherein I even pushed myself to do masters in that. And in my masters, I hit a point wherein I realized that, hey, like, itna serious, I'm not this. Like, so my master's thesis started with a meme. And that meme, it was very ironic that in my master thesis, I'm writing the first line as, Kya tum architecture ho? Because if you say that you are an architect, like, a layman would many times not say, are you an architect, they would some by mistake, are you architecture? So I started my master thesis with like, how do you tackle the heavy stuff with a fun anecdote. And that's how, like, my entire investigation was about what more you can be beyond, like, doing traditional brick and mortar buildings. um, and yes, like, even though my prompt was, how did you learn, how did you apply learnings from architecture school in industry or in your profession, but the common trend has been that all the personal development aspects, be it like Sagar mentioned, time management, Rajat mentioned learning from the peers around you, Parnavi, you mentioned about how even personal life and profession, like motherhood, playing a central role. And I think, like, again, a second time I'm repeating it, that these conversations, they don't really exist. Like, we talk about skills in terms of, I did this project, I handled these numbers, blah blah blah. But there's a lot of personal development, which is also a skill set, right?
I believe um, the biggest, what you call it, like piece of advice for anybody, who's looking to sort of, or whatever is stopping them from venturing into alternate practice, I would tell them, or even like students, I think the journey or everything starts with self-awareness. And this term self-awareness itself, I didn't know for the longest time.
Mhm.
Like, I was introduced to it through my, like, some colleagues or my sister. She told me that, you have to be, like, I kept on asking her, how do you know so much, that what do you want in life, even if it's personal life. This is what I want, this is what I don't want. She's like, you have to be self-aware. And I'm like, what is that? Like, when I was your age, I knew shit about anything, sorry for the term, but I didn't know anything. And then I try to think, why did I not know about self-awareness? Because especially in our schooling, and now more so because fast-paced technology and so much exposure and so much information overload over there. First of all, we don't really spend time in contemplation or thinking. Secondly, our schools and our education doesn't let us do that. Like, there is something new that they'll keep throwing at you. अभी ये सीखो, अब वो सीखो, ये सीखो, and in that process, I'm not really spending time. Like, I sort of, I'm chewing on it, but I'm not digesting or ruminating it. And that is where the whole introspection doesn't happen. And I think introspecting or self-awareness is also a skill which should actively be spoken about. And I also think should be taught to people, at least give them tools in which they can do that. What is self awareness, what does that mean, वहां से शुरुआत करनी चाहिए. And this should happen in school. And like for example, schools also set this very typical map for students कि देखो you have to perform well in exams, you have to do certain extracurriculars, और ऐसे ऐसे करना है, आप आगे जाएंगे, आप कॉलेज करेंगे, कॉलेज के बाद जॉब करेंगे, बिजनेस करेंगे. In this entire thing, where are you letting the child answer their calling, whatever it is, जो भी है, we are not looking at passions, but sitting with yourself and thinking. Nowadays, like I have realized, even me, like that day my son had to tell me, you are always with your phone. And the moment he said that to me, I'm like, I'm working, I know that, because we unfortunately social media is one of the channels we work, and it's like 24/7 job. I'm always on the phone. And he told me one fine day, you're non-stop on your phone, like you don't even talk to me nowadays. And that was like as it hit like a brick or stone or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, so then I was thinking, what am I doing? So this thinking, no, these questioning, this giving yourself time at different stages of your life, different age, different circumstances is necessary. Self-awareness comes from there. And I think that is the biggest thing. And second is, once you're self-aware, once you realize things, taking the leap. There are ways in which you can do that. First is try and get better at it. Try and get better at that skill that you think you have, which has come through the realization of self-awareness. Spend some time in making it better. Either you will know that maybe you don't want to do it, or you will know that yes, yahi hai, I will go further and learn more about it. And always have a backup plan. Please be smart. Don't be dumb. Don't be like, mere ye sapne hain and I'll give my everything to achieve that. No, please don't be stupid in today's age. Always have a plan B. So, okay, you do all this when you are actually like you're seeking a job or whatever, like breadwinning ho raha hai, or whatever, your college is going on, jo bhi hai, don't leave everything and get to this. Like, as I said, you always have to be smart about things. Like romanticizing this doesn't do good to anybody. And I think that is my biggest, um, like I have to remind myself, like stop romanticizing situations and life. There is no background sound. और जैसे मूवीज में सब ऐसे बाय चांस और लक होता है, वैसे नहीं होता है. Yes, for some it happens, but that's very rare and you can't rely on it. Okay, so you have to have a plan B for yourself, for your family, for whatever. So just be smart about these things. Yes, you pursue your passion, but you can't. People who say I quit everything to pursue my passion, I think they're lying somewhere. Of course they planned for this when they knew they're going to quit. Yes, some things do happen by chance, but when they do happen by chance, you also, then there is that part of suffering where, like, for me, things did happen by chance, but I know how much I also suffered because I didn't have a plan B. So it took me time to sort of build it. And like, yeah, that's the way Sagar, he started making content through the lockdown. And but I mean, it was like, yeah, of course there is the other side to it where you're also facing the suffering bit of it. So romanticizing is good in storytelling, narrative writing, which also I do. Like, it's nice to have those stories and very interesting narratives. But yeah, so that's my little piece of like advice for people who are looking at taking the alternate or uncharted paths. So yeah.
Started.
I
Thank you
think
so much, Panelists.
sorry, continue.
No, I was just she followed alternate with uncharted, and I think that was a very good prompt. That's how I was like, I just said thanks to that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are two things to go about for anything. Like one is, see, trust and faith are two different things. So isme there's a thing, see, if you have a trust in something which you do, if you're completely confident, so that is the ठीक है, वहां तो you are okay, you are very much clear, you have full trust on something and you just do it. The second thing is to have faith. Just for example, yeah, please.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm stopping you in between, Rajat. I just remembered and I also saw the messages. Finally, you need to leave, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have to. I anticipated that this would get done by 1 o'clock, and I
yeah,
there's something that is waiting for me. So
thank
I'm sorry. I mean, it's not right, but like, yeah, I
you.
have to
Don't
sort of
worry.
log out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving your time and so much of your wisdom in all of this. It really means a lot.
Rarely, it's yeah, my experience, like my learnings, and as I said, like I made a promise to myself to speak what I feel, or like rather than getting scared or worried about what others think, because that has held me back for so long, that sort of like took a certain few years from what I could have done. So now I just like head on with it, like, okay, you might feel uncomfortable, but I'm saying what I have to. So yeah.
So thank you, Parnavi. This was very nice. In fact, I'm so glad that we had this discussion conversation, and I'm hoping to have more conversations, candid, open, authentic conversations like this. No romanticism.
Likewise, yes, likewise. Yeah, I mean, hoping Prithvi will also join next time. So yeah, she has like her bunch of very raw stories as well.
We will
So
have something
yeah. Yeah,
during next.
thank you so much for having me. It was great meeting Sagar and Rajat. There's so much to learn from you guys as well, and Gitu and Apurva, and of course Tarjani. I mean, I'm so, you've been a very very ideal moderator, where you've been very patient with our blabbering, deviating from the main topics. So I think it's very crucial for a moderator to be able to appreciate and also keep a track of what has to be done. So thank you for being patient with us. Sagar, I love what you do. Like
Thank you.
looking forward to you being a face for the new generation. Like, this is also what you can do. And Rajat, I think you are the backbone of why architects get projects. So please, like
Yes.
there is nothing to be ashamed of. Like clients happen because you were there. So you're doing a great job. So yeah.
Also looking
Thank you
forward to
guys.
work
Yeah.
with you two guys in
Yeah,
certain avenues.
likewise.
Yeah, most like most welcome, and hopefully we all will meet one day in person.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Yeah, yeah, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
I take care.
We
Sagar,
don't have to leave, right? Okay.
you wanted to take a 2 minute break?
Yeah, yeah, done. Yeah.
Acha, okay,
I'm
done.
back. I'm back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I understand it's lunchtime now. And yeah, that was the last prompt that we're discussing right now. But Pranavi had to leave, so I just
Yeah, yeah,
let
no
that
problem.
conversation end. Yes, Rajesh.
Just in case time allows and time permits, I have one question for Rajat and Sagar, but only after we have done with these discussions that you are having. It
Yes.
may not take more than 5 minutes, but let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I was on the last prompt of that PDF that was shared, so I'm going to try and wrap it up with it.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, saying the prompt again, because yeah, our conversation has been very free flowing, and a lot of new things have come up in it, especially like charting your own personal journey. But this prompt again, I'm like stressing that, if someone listens to you both, I want them to discover something through your experiences. So, what would you say to someone who is trying to move away from traditional practice? That hey, like these are the emerging fields or industry scopes, or like Parnavi mentioned, uncharted examples. So, if you've noticed something, maybe Rajat through your seniors or Sagar through your interactions with the industry, then do share that. Um yeah, because a lot of time we think कि हम सब like खुद से figure out कर लेंगे, but you learn a lot through people, as you all have correctly discussed. So yeah, if you have certain examples in that sense, do share. Whoever wants to.
Rajat, I think you were speaking on that particular, so you can
Oh,
continue
yeah,
and later I'll
sorry,
take it.
Rajat,
Yeah.
No problem.
yeah.
So I was just saying, see, firstly, Jesse, we talked about, you were talking about Isa G's example that they have made a proper community like WhatsApp community.
Yeah.
So similar thing is done by me as well. So we have three communities, okay. Two communities run on WhatsApp and one community runs on Telegram, because over the time what I experienced and why I created those communities was that one is like these are the aspects of visualization which I'll talk about. Jesse, there's one where a lot of visualizers failed. So a community caters to the basically sharing of 3D models and everything. Okay. So in my field, there are मतलब obviously जो senior visualizers हैं या जो setup firms हैं, so they have the मतलब उनके पास almost सारी library available हैं. So a community we have created where I can share models with the people. So a lot of visualizers in there. So they just put in a photo कि ये model किसी के पास है इसका 3D. So that is one community. Other community is where we share कुछ tutorials. Okay. जहाँ पे जिसने भी जो tutorial जिसके पास पढ़े हैं, whether it's about Lumion software or some other software, so they share those tutorials there as well, so that other people who wanna learn that they can do it. And it's everything is for free, nothing is on a paid thing. And the third community where we discuss is basically okay, there is one community. I don't think so कि मुझे बोलना चाहिए, but there's a community where we discuss about clients as well. The clients, मतलब where मतलब the experiences were bad. Okay, so everyone shares their experiences. That मतलब they do not obviously they do not criticize it, but they put it in a way कि okay, this is how I worked and this is what I faced. So if you ever get the opportunity, मतलब you get the chance to work there, so be cautious a bit. तो ये सब चीजें भी discuss होती हैं. So I am running all three communities and उसमें सब होता है. So this is one way
Nice.
which I thought was a good way to help all the visualizers out there. And because see, and other part which I was saying already, कि जैसे आई कम अप विद मेरे को डीएम्स आते हैं कि सर मैंने आर्किटेक्चर किया एंड मेरे को अब चेंज करना है, आई वांट टू कम इनटू विजुअलाइजेशन, देन हाउ शुड आई गो अबाउट इट एंड ऑल दैट. एंड सम कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जिनको सॉफ्टवेयर नॉलेज है, कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जिनको सॉफ्टवेयर नॉलेज नहीं है. ठीक है, सो उनके लिए तो द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज टू लर्न दी सॉफ्टवेयर, लर्न विजुअलाइजेशन. बट हाँ, फॉर पीपल जो करना चाह रहे हैं, यू वांट टू शिफ्ट टू एनी ऑफ द फील्ड, नॉट जस्ट विजुअलाइजेशन, I would say कि there is one thing which is trust. If you have the trust, then just do it. And other thing is कि if you do not have the trust, then just keep faith, and the trust part might come later. Okay. So you keep the faith, you start it, and with the process, you might develop the trust. Okay, this is something I can. So there are two things to go about it. So I guide them in a this way कि यार देख लो, when you start it, if you feel confident, you move ahead, and if you don't, मतलब do not stress yourself, do not push yourself to do something जो तुम्हें दिख रहा है बहुत ग्लैमरस कि ओके विजुअलाइजेशन में तो बहुत काम आ रहा है, या कंटेंट राइटिंग ये कर लेते हैं. नो, डोंट डू दैट वे, because that is not something which you actually want, that is something which you just think it's good. So do not go the glamorous way, go the ugly way.
Right. Right.
And Rajat, I want to add, I know you were feeling a little shy in saying out about like the third community, but it's there in our field only. Like if you go, for example, I have friends who are working in IT and textiles and like all like the corporate side or the other entrepreneurial side also. Uh, so for example, if you go on Glassdoor, you can look at employee reviews or even know about what employees are talking about the company also, and like the other way around also. So there is a mechanism in place for you to get a rough idea. I mean, to what extent it doesn't function ekdam I say 100% accuracy, because every experience is a personal experience, it's very subjective, but at least it gives you some, like if there is something to be super cautious about, then at least you are mentally prepared. And yeah, that is a very interesting thing that you're doing. And I would say that you identified something which doesn't really exist, especially for our field. So yeah, like hats off.
Thank you. So basically, I used to see, I had bad experiences with many of the firms, and I used to get messages from a lot of people through DMs, through mail, that we had bad experiences. So I think, see, putting it on a public platform, it basically it becomes a legal issue. You cannot defame someone.
Calling, yeah.
But yes, if you cannot do it publicly, then you can, aware the people who are in the same community. So this was my approach. Okay, we do not refrain you from doing their work, but be cautious before doing it, because this is what we face. We do not want you to face the same thing. So either you be fixed with your legal contracts, which you'll put before starting the work. everything, keep it official. So these are the things which we discuss there to prevent that these things do not happen. And somewhere जो वो एक ट्रेंड था कि आर्किटेक्ट्स एंड डिजाइनर्स आर ऑन अ डोमिनेंट स्टेज, तो वो भी थोड़ा सा इक्वलाइज करने के लिए वी डू इट कि ओके, मतलब वी हैव द पावर एज वेल, ओके वी कैन डू स्टेप्स एज वेल वेयर no injustice happens with us as well.
Right.
Really nice. Yes, Sagar, on to you.
So I would just say, Rajat, you're shy about it, but I started creating content on the same. Like when I started with the same things to speak out about how clients react, what clients do, and what injustice happen in the industry. So there are many movies which I took example from, with like certain dialogues from something, and I have to relate it with characters. So I am an architect, another character is in a different client or something. He is reacting to that part, and I am reacting into that part and putting some caption around it. So I
Got it.
started creating content in this manner, and people loved me for it. They found me relatable a lot, and hence they started following me. Now I have stopped it a bit because the topics have almost covered up. So I was also focusing on different part, but this is the way I started, and I was very harsh and rude about it. And I wanted to support my community. So this is what I've done. Coming back to the prompt which you suggested, I have, like, as Rajat has created communities, I have also created my own communities. So if somebody wants to become a content creator or as an architect who is struggling somewhere, I have a newsletter where I share to on every Monday and we talk about it. Ironically, I'm not saying it here because you have shared the topic, but it was an irony. This Monday the topic was alternate careers on my newsletter. I send it out to like the people who subscribe me, like 700 people who have subscribed to that newsletter. And I have focused on the topics from web architecture to project manager management, even to set designing, how they can. I myself like set designing a lot, and that is why I focused on creating content around series and movies architecture. So I create content of what are the special series which have come out. I talk about how the production designer, the thought process of a production designer was, how he created that particular set, and what was the story behind it, how the character development happened. So I'm a movie buff. I love watching movies. I love watching series. So, like, created that love for movies, maybe through architecture, I can tell that. That was one thing we do. Secondly, I think we also do courses. Anybody who wants to learn different things, we do courses on
Like,
Instagram for designers. We do Instagram, LinkedIn for designers, Sun Psychology, many courses. I'll not be promoting that here. That's not the right platform, but just telling you guys. And we also have a creators group. Like Rajat said, they have a group of talking about clients and everything. We also have a creator group of all the top content creators you can name or you can think of in that group. And if we have a bad experience with a brand, bad experience with a client, or certain terms and conditions we wanted to add about, we add that. So this is how what we do. Lastly, I would want to say, if somebody wants to do content creation, they can also look up to me on LinkedIn, where I post about how I started my own personal branding and how I do it, what kind of issues I have, and I'm very blunt and very frank about it. I'm very open about it, and they can ask me for certain questions. But if not content creation, I would just say, for me, it was like a boundary created by the world, because that was COVID and I could not do certain different, as per Parnavi suggested, that do not leave your job to do certain things or to follow your passion. For me, I didn't have a choice. That was forcefully so done. So I have to do it. And now it is not going back because I've started something. So I have also told that I had a job, but I did not took it because I had a passion for it and I do it. And maybe what kind of courage I have, my capacity of courage and think I can operate on, maybe somebody else cannot. Somebody might leave after two mistakes or whatever kind of what we say bad experience they have, they might leave it. I had my capacity is much higher than them maybe, but certain persons might not have. So if anything you're pursuing on, if it is writing, content creation, visualization, teaching, BIM architecture, project management. I think there's metaverse has a lot of skills. Do not leave what you're doing right now. Follow that passion. If it is taking like 2 or 3 hours of your life, put that work on Sundays. Uh, I know that 70 hours work, like 90 hours work, वो बहुत ज़्यादा चल रहा है LinkedIn पे. But I think if it is your own work you're working for,
Exactly.
that is fine.
Yes, that is a correct statement if you are the entrepreneur.
Yeah,
It's a statement good
yeah,
for you. It's not a statement
yes.
good for the people who work with you.
Yes, yes, yes.
You can
So
do
I
that.
think for yourself, you have to work, and that might not sound very good when you write on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
but that's the reality. You have to work hard. You have to take out time. You have to take out time from your personal life. I think I've also started including my personal life in my post, in my like whatever I do and create on LinkedIn, because people on Instagram, because people like to learn about what you do, what's your personal life, how much you earn, and what are the avenues you learn from. People like everything. People want to dig in your personal lives.
Even
So
the
as
trust
per
factor, even the trust
yes,
factor builds because of this. Okay, so
yes,
at
because
the end they don't know you. You are sitting
yeah,
there in India, they don't know you. They're just seeing.
yeah,
Putting your personal stuff also makes a personal connection with the
yeah.
people who follow you.
And since you are a solo entrepreneur or you are the face of your brand, you have to do it. You have to take certain steps to do it. But the only suggestion I would give to everyone who is listening to this or may listen to this afterwards is yes, start like working on your passion, find your calling, but do not just leave what you're doing and just go there. It needs a backup plan, financially as well, mentally as well, emotionally as well. We always think about financial planning, but emotional and mental planning is also important. Can do you have a courage to handle that two failures, at least two? I had 100. Even maybe I have today. I am facing failures in my career still. Now, if I'm creating content, I am a failed person. So procrastination has helped me a lot to grow. I have channelized this procrastination to a good way, not a bad way. Yes, it puts me back 2 steps, but I try to push that procrastination in a good way that I can go 10 steps further. So yes, that was the advice I would give.
Thank you so much, Rajat and Sagar, again, like for sharing all this. And I would tie up an end, like then Rajesh will take over. But from my end, I would tie up with certain key themes which emerged. First was definitely like self-awareness, finding your calling in the larger architectural skills that you gather, which is that part which really attracts you as an architect. It's a misconception that you have to, like, as on an individual level, to expect that, oh, you'll be good at writing also, you'll be good at video editing also, you'll be good at renders also, you'll be good at execution also. That it's like a super myth to take consider. Yes, Sagar.
One more thing, I'll tell a simple exercise if somebody is not like cannot understand what to do. Stand in front of mirror. Ask yourself what are you doing. Ask yourself what skills you have and how you can lead up to that particular skill by doing certain things. So, and spending time with yourself would work a lot because COVID really helped us to, like, we all three helped us to find that calling because COVID may nobody has that work. But now everybody is busy in their life. But I would say that have your me time, understand how you operate. Many of them do not know what their nature is. Many of
Like,
don't know how they can handle a difficult situation. So that would really help to get up a like to go to a decision. I would say that spend time with yourself, ask yourself some right questions, and then maybe after that, getting those questions, you can go to a mentor or someone who is experienced and who can help you there. But you should have that questions, at least prepare those questions, and then somebody can help you. Yes, you can.
I think Rajat, did you say something?
no, nothing.
Yeah, to like sort of metaphorically sum it up, be an architect like for your own life first.
I
Understand.
really love that line.
Yeah, it's not mine. I've heard it from someone. Definitely. I'm not in the exact specifics, but I've like sort of curated it for myself, because even I've had like a difficult year, and I might be like, I'm starting my journey. So everything that you all have shared, it's been very inspiring. Thank you so much for opening up on a very personal level also, because on a lot of platforms, magazines, etc., there are a lot of conversations which is, yes, of course, about the work and everything. But as you all correctly pointed out, personal and professional interact, and it is very crucial to have these conversations, because if you don't have the personal bandwidth, like Sagar, you mentioned, emotional and mental, if you don't have the personal bandwidth, then how will you jump ahead in your career? So yeah, thank you very, very, very much.